This is the housing conversation.
Yeah.
Real lives, local markets, better decisions. No, local markets, real lives, better decisions. The housing
Yes.
conversation. Kicking it off, Jake, the local realtor expert. Um, I'm gonna be the mortgage guy, the mortgage expert, and we'll build from here. Looking to come into your computer or ears once a week on the weekends. Happy to have you. Make sure you tell your buddies and subscribe.
Yeah. Just trying to give you guys some real people that do this every day. We're normal guys who happen to have a little bit of knowledge. And if we don't know something, we'll find the answers for you.
What's happening for you in the market? Jake? What's happening? What's the word on the street? Besides, it's cold out.
Yeah, it might be cold outside, but I think you're seeing more and more stuff come to market, which is good. You always see that in the spring. You're also seeing an opportunity for buyers to go after things with less competition.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people are still sitting on the sidelines and waiting, hoping that rates will drop, right? But if you're a motivated buyer and you know where you want to be and know what your budget is, now's a great time to move. I use the condo market kind of in Dane County as a good indicator. I looked at that, and today two bed, two bath condos under 500,000, there was 35 properties.
Yep.
Um, 2 months ago, there was three.
I was gonna
So
guess four. I was going
yeah, so I
four.
mean, we're heading in the right direction. Which means if you are looking for something, whether it's housing, condo, whatever it is, getting pre-approved is really important now, and knowing what you want is super important.
Right. Well, and what at the time of the recording, we're just right at the end of January here. I feel like I always say Super Bowl Monday is when the spring market opens. Some people
Yep.
say President's Day. It's less fun. It's interesting as the Super Bowl even moved. I felt that day move, but always
Yeah,
just feel busier on the morning after the Super Bowl. And I don't know if
for
that's
sure.
because I'm tired or because it's a Monday or because it's real, but it's
Yeah.
so yeah. You brought up interest rates. I'll jump into my mortgage rate, my mortgage market stuff. Again, time of this recording, we're kind of feathering down. We're going a little bit lower with rates. Um, there's rate when it moves, there's often underlying motivations in the economy or the news headlines. Today was small. This week has been low. We're really waiting on the Fed to figure out what they're going to do this week with the meeting and if there's going to be generalized rate cuts. I'm sure at some point I'll dig real deep into why that Fed cut isn't exactly a mortgage cut, but I think people listening to this podcast at this point probably are aware of what's going on there. It's more of a sentiment after the conversation than a direct result of the conversation. But basically, to sum up, it's been fairly boring in the markets lately, and we're hopeful for a little bit more movement um, to come in the next weeks and see if that can't make a really nice impact on the spring market. But fingers
Yeah.
crossed, right? So
Yep.
that would be the hope, I think, for everybody.
Absolutely. A little bit of movement is always good.
Yeah, well, right. I don't think we're going to get into the cliff diving that we did in
Right.
the COVID area, but
Yeah.
I'm always cautious with people saying you want to be careful what you wish for. That was
Hmm.
a great time.
Yeah.
So we're heading in a good direction. I think normalizing rates inside this window coming up is going to be healthy for the markets and make housing affordable for
Hmm.
those who are ready and a goal for those who are not quite ready.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
So, anything come up this last week that's interesting? No, it's been negative, negative, negative. I think it was negative 13 this week
That's
or
cool.
more.
Yeah.
Super cold before the wind started blowing. Are you having any trouble hearing any trouble? Are people in the markets, are they worried about houses with pipes? Is that something that like a real estate agent you got to go over? Do you go over and like check on listings at
It's
that
a good
point?
question.
Like do a review?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's definitely a concern. I have a listing that is not close and is far away and is under contract, but it's unoccupied, of course.
Gotcha.
Thankfully, there's a neighbor who is checking on it and making sure that run the water and keep the water heater on and the heat on. But it's true. It's part of that balance this time of year, especially with vacant properties. Like it was listed, if something listed in June, it was fine, but it's sitting for whatever reason. You
Mhm.
got to go winterize it or unwinterize, whatever it is. I was showing that I'm going to show to a client later this week, talk to the listing agent today, and she's like, well, give me like 48 hours notice so I can go warm the house up. And I'm like, oh
Right.
yeah, that makes sense, right? Like, and that's as much as it's about seeing this, the walls and the windows, it's how it feels in a house too. And so for both buyers and sellers, like turning lights on, turning the heat on is super important.
Right.
Sometimes turning the heat higher than you normally would, so it feels extra homey. Like those are all little
Right.
things that you need to do. And yeah, when it's cold, we worry about that. Oh, I will say, a couple weeks ago we had some bad snow, and like I was really concerned about getting stuck in a driveway because I knew it was a long country driveway. Thank you to that listing agent for having it nicely plowed and cleared. That is not always the case. And as much as I love going through 8 inches of snow in my boots, I don't love it. So it's great when that's not a problem. So yeah, definitely it's a key component for everyone in the process, buyers, sellers, and agents.
You should put that in a listing package when you go over your meetings. Be like, if it snows, I'm going to make sure that it's clear if it's a vacant property, right? Like we're going
Yeah.
to make sure that that's showable. I don't know. It's not always about, sometimes it is, but not always. Maybe cookies baking in the oven for the smells and whatnot. You get
Yep.
that. Like, there's a lot to it. It's funny that those things come up because you get the people ask me all the time, do I have to use a real estate agent? I'm like, no, but why wouldn't you? Like, what you get these
Right.
professional people out there doing their job. It's like, do I have to use a dentist? It's like, well, I would,
Right.
I
Yeah.
guess not. Like, there's a
Yeah.
there's a there's a right answer to that question though.
Yep.
So yeah, I get
Well,
that.
especially on a listing side of it, like I always tell clients, do you want, as a listing agent, I'm there to take phone calls from every person who's interested, buyer, seller, lender, like everyone involved in the process. So before we go under contract, I could be talking to 10, 15 people.
Right.
Post contract, it's another 10 to 15 calls. So if you don't want to spend your day answering those phone calls, you should hire an agent and put us to work. If you are okay with it and loved having the same conversation over and over again with different buyers agents, go nuts, list your own house. But like that's my issue. Like I tell people, it's 9 o'clock at night on a Saturday. It's not weird for me to get a phone call. It's not a bother. They're checking to see if they can go see the house tomorrow. Awesome.
Right.
Like it's a good problem. It shows an engaged buyer. But who if you're not used to that, you're like, hey man, it's 9 o'clock at night on a Saturday. Why are you
Right.
calling me?
What are you what are you doing? Well, and that's the thing. I don't know. I think people don't get I as a mortgage banker, I say all the time, real estate transactions don't happen during banking hours,
No.
like ever. People are off doing their job, they're living their life, they're doing their thing. They gotta get home, they gotta find their spouse or significant other, they gotta talk to their families, they gotta walk the
Mm-hmm.
dog, they gotta do all this stuff. And then they catch me, which is great because I find that most people don't want to talk to me before 9 a.m. And less great because they want to talk to me after dinner, which is
Yeah.
fine. It's the ebb and flow of the job. It's how we do it. And it's
Yep.
what makes us successful and valuable. I think it's what
Yeah.
what it separates from the commoditized version of this gig. So
Yeah. There is one thing that happens during normal banking hours, and that's closing. And everyone makes time for that. Otherwise, everything else happens outside normal banking hours. But
yeah.
closing happens, and people are usually able to make that happen. So that's good.
Surprise, give me the pen. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's it.
I'll be
We're
there.
ready for it to be done. That's 100% true. That
Very
and
true.
and it's surprising how much it didn't matter that it was cold out because I was like, "Oh, is it are we cool? Are we working?" People are like, "No, we're closing a file." And
Yep.
that's where the buck stops and we show up and we close and high five and make sure everything's taken care of. I
Mm-hmm.
funded and gone. So, what is a mortgage myth that you want debunked on camera today, Jake? What do you got?
Oh, I got a great one for you, Brian. There is a myth that you need at least 10%, really 20% down payment to close. Otherwise, you're going to pay insane amounts of money in PMI and you're never going to get a house. I don't think that's true, but I tell people all the time, I'll find you the house. I don't have the money. You've got the money. So, in a real world, do they need 10, 20% down to buy a house?
No way. That's a great one. That one's a common one that is misunderstood. So 20% down is great. There's a couple of factors that land on that. It gets rid of the mortgage insurance. You have some nice benefit to it, but it's not required. And a lot of times the math works better with less.
Mm-hmm.
I work in 3 and 3.5% down programs a ton. We can go lower than that. You have to be specially qualified for stuff like that with the 0% down or 1% down stuff. It's out there, it exists, and that's real. 0% down, I'm typically looking for you to be a veteran, which is great. Love working with
Yep.
veterans. But the the other stuff is I say all the time, maybe we shouldn't put all of your money into the equity. My line on that is usually something like, hey, I want you to get in the house. I want you to have money left in your life to buy the couch that you sit on in the living room. And for God's sakes, let's not bankrupt you having
Yep.
a slice of pizza on that couch on a Friday night. Life has
Yep.
to happen, and there's incidentals that you come into, and I'm sure we'll have stories sometime in this series about what about furnaces and what about water
Yep.
heaters and what about roofs and what you want to have contingency funds and you want to have the ability to access those uh, as you need.
Yeah.
There's again, I mean, you could dig real deep and be like, well, is it beneficial to have the money sitting in your bank account, or and is it beneficial to have it in your house, or is it maybe a good idea that we get you a financial advisor if you're not using one already, and you have them review where the money should be because whatever you do for a living, maybe it's not financial advising
Right.
or,
Yeah.
like being a
Oh yeah.
realtor. So
Yep.
there's a lot of factors that go into it. And it's actually something I talk a lot about with being a mortgage guy is that you want to be working with somebody who understands the larger landscape
Yeah.
of the financial components, not just somebody who's like, yep, you're approved and
Yep.
go. Or way worse, if you go online and you generate yourself a pre-approval, don't, that walks you down a path that maybe could work. It
hmm
can, but I
Yeah.
don't think you're giving yourself the best opportunity talking to somebody who knows what they're doing.
For sure. For
So,
sure.
but yeah, good myth. I like that. That's a good one. That's a good one to start with.
It's true. It's one I deal with that all the time, and I always tell clients, I'm like, I can give you this answer, but why don't you go talk to the mortgage guy? He can see your financial picture and actually give you a real answer. Like, not just it should be okay. No, really, here's the real amount. Like,
Right.
you know, it's not 10 or 12, it's 15 or it's three. Like, he knows the real numbers. I'm
Well,
just guessing.
I'm going to throw it back at you. Hey, if I put 3% down or I put 20% down, if I go FHA, if I go VA, or if I go conventional, I have my opinion on it. I'd like to hear it. What's the difference on the real estate agent side?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it as a listing agent, if you see an offer like that come through, it's just having a conversation with the buyer's agent. Like,
Mhm.
same because you got to figure out what's going on, right? Say you're a veteran and you can qualify for 0% down. Doesn't mean you don't have funds, but you earned a VA loan because you served. You
Yes.
didn't get it by just like being a nice guy. You have to earn it and qualify. So that's what part of the argument, right? USDA loan. If you qualify for 0% down, why not, right? It's
Right.
all factored in, especially if you're going to fix up a house or you're going to do some renovations. Like maybe you're keeping it later for a project in 3 months, right? The times when it really gets interesting is when you have a conventional, um, and it's just when you're comparing eight offers, right? So if I have a conventional that's 3.5% or 5% down, and I have a conventional that's 25% down, and everything else is the same, well, now it's a determining factor of risk, right? And even if
Mhm.
you call and say this borrower is great, and the other agent calls borrower is great, you as a seller may be like, well, I feel more confident in this offer over here that has a higher down payment than this person over here. The
Sure.
part that people don't always talk about is just because you put in, you can put 20% down, does not require you to put 20% down. It just says, I have the financial ability to. So
Correct.
the part of that is always about confidence, right? And so as long as we aren't writing incorrect contracts, it's not a big deal. That's where I think as agents, it's our job to call the buyer's agent and give a lender a call because it's so important to get
This
your take
is
on it because you see the financial picture. Like, I'm not a financial,
I
I know a guy.
proactively do that. So that's one of the things that I like to do is I like to meet the listing agent, and I
Yeah.
say, "Oh, hey, I just wanted to reach out. I'm New American Funding, Brian Smith, local guy. I'm here. I'm
Yep.
not a robot. I'm not a call center.
Yep.
Wanted to talk to you about Jake's pre-approval. You should have it sitting in front of you or in your email right now.
Mm-hmm.
Great, great people, good stuff. Do
Mm-hmm.
you have questions about me and my, if you're familiar with my company, let's make sure that you understand that I'm confident and ready to go. A lot of times I've even had the file underwritten heading into that, right? So
Right.
like you do upfront underwriting, I say, look, this is already underwritten. It is good to go as long as title and appraisal come in and that's on you and the house.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
let's do business. And it's,
Mm-hmm.
some variation of that. That's kind of a direct version of it. But
Yeah.
really just being communicative and like sharing the, what you can share, and you
Hmm.
kind of go and say this is something we can be confident about,
Yep.
and we're excited to move forward, and it's a great house and a great new family, and let's do it type vibe.
Yeah.
And I think that's helpful.
Hmm. Brian, I have a question for you real quick. It's kind of a third thing here. A lot of times people go into buying a house and they're like, well, I have one loan option. They bought a car, right? And they think, oh, it's just months and down payment and that's it. It's a menu, right? Like, what kind of factors do you guys go into finding what the right item off the menu is for the buyer? Because in majority of situations, it's not a one size fits all. It's what fits your specific situation. I guess what are some of the questions you guys ask your buyer or think about when choosing the right loan product?
Oh, that's a good. That's like a whole book on its own. But
I know we'll get back to that, but like
the
high level,
beginning
let's think
of it
about it that
is
way.
that, so as a mortgage banker, New American Funding, I do a lot of in-house stuff. We service like 97% of our loans,
Okay,
which is great for a myriad of reasons on its own. But because I'm a mortgage banker and I have my own product, I can also, though, broker stuff out. We can work in non-QM. So those are kinds of deals like maybe a 6, 12, 24-month bank statement loan,
sure,
options like that. You get your DSCR, you get things that are not cookie cutter fit the mold stuff,
sure.
which a lot of times banks can't do, which is cool.
Mhm.
Um, well, it's cool for me. The but you go and you look at it, you go, are you self-employed? Really the baseline of that is that mortgages were built off of your tax statements, right? It's like your
Mm,
tax docs for the federal government, because that's a really universal way to understand what people make and where they work and how things go, and kind of an encapsulating hit, a photograph of who you are financially. That is not a great photo necessarily if you're a self-employed business owner,
yeah.
so because it measures differently, and lots of times those people are even more successful and have
Mm,
higher income, but they're, it looks the way it's supposed to look for taxes is not the way it's supposed to look for mortgages. I'm trying to make you look typically as wealthy as you could possibly look, and
yeah.
the tax guy is going, how can we make you look poor?
Yep.
So, I just, that's the way it goes. That's the
Yeah.
game. But nothing more American than that. But
Yeah.
the trick there is asking the questions, right? So,
Yeah.
what do you do for work? What are your plans for down payment? Where's your credit score at? And so by the time I finish asking things like that, and you give me responses of like, well, it's going to be me and my wife, or my credit score is bad, my wife's is good, she's got no
Mhm.
job, I have the job, and like you fit these things back
Yeah.
together, and I moved from like more than 600 options down to I'm probably within three by the time we've had our first
Sure.
conversation. Just kind of,
Yeah.
oh, whoa, that's FHA, or oh,
Mhm.
thank you for your service. Guess what we're doing? Yeah,
Yep.
like this,
Yeah.
and it
Exactly.
makes sense. And it's, have you used your eligibility yet? There's stuff about this stuff
Hmm.
that once you get a good look at what the plan is, and that's the
Yeah.
other thing is, what are you looking for? You're looking for single
Hmm.
family, you're looking for multifamily. There's advantages to different programs that you can
Sure.
work into. Again, it's the same thing as how much do I have to put down? It doesn't, you can put down the right amount for the
Hmm.
plan and your situation and
Yeah.
what your goals are. So if
Hmm.
you understand what the plan is, you find a product that works right. And
Yep.
we have a lot to choose from. Sometimes I feel maybe too many. But yeah,
Options. They're
hard
good.
to hard to you figure it out. And the other thing is working for we're a fairly sized mortgage banker, and it's great because if I got a question, I'm going, hey, did anybody use a product that maybe matches this? And
Oh,
I have a
sure.
pretty
Yeah.
big network of people that I can kind of bounce things off,
Hmm.
which is fun.
That's awesome. Nice.
Yeah. So there's that. That's good. Um, we were, unless you got other stuff, we were going to end with a dad joke to
Love it.
knock these
Yes.
out, being what we are, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Fathers.
Yep.
If you got one,
Oh, God. I probably could come one really fast. If you got one, go ahead.
I can do it. What do you
Okay.
what do you call a cow with no legs?
What?
Ground beef.
Ha! Yes. Dad jokes are the best. They are outstanding.
We
These
are
are real
we're
laughs, by the way. We do find ourselves funny. Don't worry.
right. That's part of being a dad.
Yeah. It's
That's the funny
hilarious.
thing. So With that, I'd say like,
Yeah.
subscribe, share, tell
Yep.
people.
Yeah.
Ask questions in the chat thing. Let's do the
Yep.
what do you want to hear about? We're guys in the business, and the
Yep.
market's coming and it's coming fast. So
Yeah.
we're here to be a part of it.
There's no dumb questions, truthfully, because we do this every day and we ask questions. So if we've
Yeah.
got them, you've got them too.
Awesome. All right. Is there sign off? At the next time,
Ah,
do we have a
we'll have to figure that out.
what do you do the quick trip?
But we'll
Uh,
see you next time.
see you next time.
Yeah.
Do we do that? Quick trip
Sure.
sign off. See you
Have
next
a great day. We'll see you next
Not
time.
a
Yep.
not a sponsor. See you next
Right.
time.
Mhm.
All right, we'll do that. We're gonna go with the Midwestern Quick Trip sign off. Not a sponsor. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Yep.